Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow. Welcome to a new apartment video. This might be super interesting, I think, so stick around, and I think you might enjoy this video. This is the building that we're going to go and see, and the actual apartment itself is up on the 13th level. It's actually a 14-floor building, and I've previously been here, so I would heavily suggest that you check out the video that I've made previously right here, because this is basically a follow-up video to show you the progress of the remodeling. Now, this is obviously a very old building, and the current owner is doing a full renovation of the apartment. So if you have watched the previous video and you recognize the building, it makes a lot of sense. If you are watching this for the first time, I create videos about normal, typical, everyday things here in Moscow. There is actually different apartments in this micro district that are built in the same design and same fashion. Where we are here is the Ramenki region of Moscow. Now you're going to see from the view of the apartment how close we are to Moscow and Moscow center. Minskaya metro station is a 20-minute walk down the street, and Lomonosky metro station is a 5-minute walk away. So we're going to head on inside and get right to the tour. Coming inside, of course, if you're the owner, you'd have the fob to open the door here with this little button, or you can actually call up to the apartment and head on inside. So this apartment being a little bit older, it actually has a concierge or a lady. These are actually the steps if you wanted to walk up there. 13th level, we're not walking. Even the entrance has central heating as well. And we're just gonna walk past the ladies here. So actually the person that looks after the building would stay here, and then we just need to walk around. We've got a few steps to navigate, and then we've got the elevator to go upstairs. All the information for the building is right here. If you need to call somebody, have a look at the old radiators on the wall, these original ones. Actually nice and warm as well. So let's go on upstairs. Coming out on the 13th level, we just need to walk around the corner here and through this door. And then the apartment is at the end of the corridor right here. Let's head on inside. And this will be rather interesting because, of course, the finish isn't completed. However, we can get a very good idea of how it's going to look. So this is the entranceway. Now this is very wide and very spacious for now. Now just excuse all of the materials everywhere. They're currently doing renovation. Of course, we can understand that. And a lot of things are finished in steps. So there is a lot of things that are not able to be finished at the moment, and they're doing different things. So coming inside here, so this wall here will be a very large wardrobe. So you can put all your clothes, jackets, whatever you like. I think over here, like maybe mirror or ornamental finish. So the walls have all completely been replaced. Completely. Actually, 99.9% of the apartment is new and replaced. These bags are where they remove the garbage. Everything has to be carried downstairs and took to the garbage. What they do, they wait to get so much, and then they remove it. So we have effectively a 2-room apartment. I'm gonna say it a few times. It's perhaps maybe better to watch the first video to understand how it is now, because even I'm trying to remember. I'm fairly sure that where I'm walking here on this wall this was the corridor going down to the kitchen, and they've moved it over to make more space. And then this was actually the lounge room right here, which is now what will eventually be the bedroom. You can see here the insulation, of course the wood and things like that. So you've got the one window here, or view here, which looks out to the, I guess, the city. So the windows have been completely replaced. Absolutely everything. They've already put the new central heating in. Of course, the pipes are existing because they're part of the building. And the point is that you can just simply tap back into them. Now this view, I think we all remember very well. We'll get a better view of it from the other corner here. And this is the Ramenki region. Also Minskaya railway station and metro station is just a 15-minute walk up that street. Lomonovsky Prospect is in the other direction. So you'll see here everything has been rewired. What they'll do is they'll put a stretch ceiling in. So there'll be about a 10 centimeter drop in the ceiling, and then all the cables can be literally just clipped up to the ceiling. This is very common how they finish this. They do the wiring on the internal walls in conduit, but for the lights in the ceiling, they have just the cables like this. So what they've done already is they've done all the walls, and they've done the first fix plastering, or this concrete finish. And then they've got the cable sticking out where certain things will plug in. They've replaced with triple glazed windows. And then they've actually done the surrounding here. They put a new windowsill in, or ledge. You can see how thick the walls are right here from the external brick to the internal brick. So this is all of the plaster, insulation. This fiberboard here they'll put up as noise cancelling board, if that makes sense. Now I just need to make sure I don't trip over anything. So this is the bathroom now. If you watch the old video, it was actually a separate toilet and bathroom, but now it's combined. And then also the wall has moved over, I'd say about a meter, so it's much bigger. So there's no lights in here. They don't need lights everywhere to work. You can actually see some of the existing walls here, particularly to get access to the pipes and the sewer and the hot and cold water. So the sink will be over here. And then I think the toilet, shower, bath, I'm not too sure where it's actually going to lay out, but it would be against this back wall naturally. They'll finish plastering this at the end once they've got all the pipe work sorted out. And then they've actually got space here for a washer and dryer. Imagine that, there'll be a dryer in here as well. So they've actually got the pipe already run there for that. And they'll actually have them stacked on top of each other. So that was the bedroom over here. This is the gentleman who's working on this project. He has done everything to this stage himself. That's very normal actually to have one guy do everything. Or sometimes you might bring in an electrician to do part of it, or a gas plumber to do some of the pipe work. And then in the old layout, this was where the bedroom was, and the lounge room was the other room. However, this now will become this open lounge, I guess, dining room area. And I'm fairly sure the wall here is probably in the same location. It's completely been replaced. So they've removed all of the internal walls and then bricked it back up again. So they've got this cement finish on it for now, and then they'll put the white plaster finish afterwards. And then depending on the final finish, it'll either be painted or wallpapered. Generally in Russia, they like to do wallpapering. See again the radiators. This is the same one we've got in our apartment. They work very nice. You always have them under the windows. And they've replaced the existing window and door here out to the balcony with this triple glazed one. So it's actually fixed pane and then the door. I'll just show actually the kitchen first. So again, you've got cables everywhere. This is all, quite a fair way from being finished. The finishing of this just happens in steps. You do step 1, step 2, like any normal construction. This is not any different. And this will be the kitchen. Again, the windows already installed, the windowsill, and then the radiator has been mounted. So the only existing pipes here were where the radiators came in for the central heating for the whole building. And then this would have been the gas line for the gas oven. And this is the view from the other corner of the apartment. So there's a view looking in one direction, and then this is the most probably important one, or the most critical one. So the actual window openings can't change because, of course, you're changing the whole look of the apartment. If you look across the way, you can see the mirrored apartment where the balcony is, and then the windows for the kitchens. But you can definitely replace the frames completely. They were all wood previously, so these are now all plastic and triple glazing. So the kitchen layout, I don't exactly know, but I think the fridge would be right here. And then possibly the hot plate, and that would be the fan for the range hood. And then the sink, you can see here from the hot and cold, and the waste right there. And it will probably be an L-shaped kitchen. Very typically, in this corner over here, you'll end up with a dining room table, although you could do it in the other room as well, but you'll have kind of like a bench seating corner wraparound. Depends on how it ends up being finished. We're only going to know that at the end, of course. And then this lounge room area here, nice and spacious. You can get a nice big sofa in here. They've already got the air conditioning units delivered, so they can actually figure out the locations of them and get the units installed. So there's different things that are here, of course, pipes for the waste, and then the pipes for the hot and cold water. This is actually the meshing that they put on the corners for the plastering. So I think probably over here is the cable for the television. So you can see the lighting is all here. So this won't be the finished ceiling. They'll end up putting what's called a stretch ceiling in afterwards. But they're putting the insulation board on the floor and the ceiling for soundproofing. But what do you think? It's very recognizable, the different rooms as you walk around. Of course, once it's plastered, finished, you're going to get a very good idea of the location. Now today the actual guy working on it is doing the balcony. That's why he's got one of the heaters out here. So he's actually setting up to do the finishing. Actually, he's doing the rendering on the bricks and making sure that everything is correct. And then have a look who we have. Oh! Coming out of the dark is Irina. I think we all know her very well. She's blending in with this corner of the room. She's got her dark winter attire on now. And
I feel me here like in sauna already.
Yeah,
because I'm waiting for you and machine are working.
The heater is on.
Yes, heating to make it dry.
Right, so he's working on the walls over here, and then I think he's also like pointing the brick walls. Looks like they're going to leave them exposed. So yeah, it's not a fast process if you know what you're doing. But this is the money shot, as I showed previously. If you might remember on the video, I don't know if I pointed it out, there was somebody sunbathing on the grass down there.
Yes, I think it's the point of white of the paper now.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, we can see Moscow City. This is the Mosfilm buildings. Over here is, I think, is it this side or this side, is the Chinese embassy buildings.
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah.
The Chinese embassy buildings.
And
right there.
Bulgarian here.
Yeah, on Bulgarian.
Yes, and Bulgarian embassy here too.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So the apartments, and then the, so these, when they were built, obviously they built multiple buildings at the same time. And then it all depends on what view you ended up with. But the floors are done here, and then now it's just the plastering. So they use cement board and then the concrete plastering, rendering, and then plastering. I think if you know the steps, you'll understand where the windows have been installed here. So yeah, he's got the heater running to dry the concrete finish. Yeah, one walk around to the exit. Of course, I think everyone's going to want to see a third video. Let me know if you do. I'm going to say it again. If you're watching this without any context, watch the first video, and this will make sense for this video now. And all the installation there and that view. So you got the view looking on one direction, and then the view looking out over here. Now look just how, okay, it's very bright coming in here, but you just instantly get that city view from right here. But what do you think? Could you live here? That's the main question I ask all the time. Okay, so I'm actually at home now, and I just thought I'd go through a bit of the information about the apartment. And the first thing I will say is I would heavily recommend that you watch the first video. Perhaps go back and watch it after this one if you've already watched through this video, because it'll make a lot more sense with the layout of the apartment and how it was to how it is now. Now, at the time that I made that video, it was on August 30. So the apartment has actually been purchased, and the current owner is doing a full renovation. So you'll see, of course, from my walk around, that literally everything has been torn out of the apartment and everything is now being put back into the apartment, particularly all of the electrics and the plumbing, walls and things like that. So some information about the apartment: 56 square meters was the size. The building was built in 1967. It's on the 13th level, that view across to Moscow City and then to the Moscow State University. And it's considered a two-room apartment. I think now in the video that I've made this time, you get a better understanding of the bedroom and then lounge room and then the kitchen and things like that. And that previous video, it was the original bathroom, but now it's been combined into one bigger space. The nearest metro station, there was actually two. So there's Lomonovsky Prospect, which is about 6 or 7 minutes walk from the apartment, and then Minskaya metro station, which is about 15 minutes walk. So you're pretty close to any public transport. And of course, Mosfilmovskaya Street, that main road right there, which is quite famous for the Mosfilm studios. And actually quite a lot of embassies as well are close by in that area. I pointed out a couple. There's actually a park nearby, which is where the Chinese embassy is, and the embassy of Hungary, Sweden, Romania, Bulgaria as well. So quite a well-known area in Moscow. It's around about 15 minutes to the center of Moscow. So what I'll do is, of course, you've watched this video. Do you want to see how it gets finished? Now, of course, walking around yesterday, the gentleman that was there doing the work on it still got quite a bit to do, but it happens quite quickly. Once that initial steps have been taken to clear out the old apartment, put the walls up, and then now he's doing the plastering and the cement rendering on the interior and exterior walls. So there's still work to be done. However, what do you think so far and how it's changed? The guy was telling us when we were there that the amount of things that they removed from the apartment and had to take downstairs in that small tiny elevator up and down, like literally hundreds of trips. And it's really, you know, quite a detailed process to do that. I mean, of course, simply take it out downstairs and then what things were thrown away, what things were kept. But for the actual apartment itself, the greater apartment, everything was taken out. And that's very normal and very typical of older apartments that get modernized, because they need to renew all the electrics right back to the breaker box, renew the pipes and plumbing, just so you know that going forward, everything is in brand new condition. So I won't talk about the price. Of course, if you watch the old video, I explain about the purchase price or the sold price, whichever you like. And as it is now, There's not really an indication of the price. Very rarely do apartments come up for sale in these buildings. Very rarely. Typically they get handed down from family member to family member and they keep hold of them. It's rare that they get sold on the public or open market, I guess you could say. So rather interesting situation, and let me know what you think and where it's at now compared to where it was, and just that view out the window now that the windows have been replaced, and you know, you can see that beautiful view across the Moscow city. You've got a 13th level, you know, like perch over Moscow almost. Thanks everybody. I will say thank you to Irina for helping me out to get a walk around. Now the current owners weren't there, of course, during the walk around. It was just the builder that was there. So actually thanks to him as well for, you know, taking a few minutes away from what he was doing. It's very difficult, you know, for us just to walk in there and, you know, let him stop work for an hour while I was filming and, you know, trying to understand what they were doing for the project. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos, of course, let me know in the comments what you think of the apartment. And then do you want to see that, I guess, third and final reveal video, which I don't know if I can do, but I hope I can. I guess based on everyone's comments, we'll get an idea of if it's possible or not. If you want to follow me on social media, my Telegram channel will come up, and then another video on the channel will come up. So check out that. I think I'll actually put the original video as the end card. So if you might want to watch it now rather than me telling you previously in the video, I think I mentioned it a number of times. So thanks everybody. I'm off on another adventure. Bye.